Come on, Rock.
Hey, there he is.
Yay, Rock. He made it. So Rock was very kind and said, yes, I'll play,
Right.
mainly because he understands this ability and disability, having been legally blind for most of your life, right?
That's right. I was born blind until I was 7, and that was a long time. And in those days, one of the reasons is they didn't have the machine that you could look into, so you had to be old enough to talk back to the doctor to say, when they put the lenses in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
And for me, there were so many lenses. They said, this kid's blind. There's no use,
Really?
Yeah. So that in the old days, kids, had to wait until they were old enough to talk to the doctor back.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So now you can just look at a machine and it'll tell you what your eyes are, if you can see.
Were you ever aware of that?
No, not
I
at
was
all.
not aware at all.
Yeah.
I remember I have 320 vision. 320 is pretty bad. But
Yeah.
but yours, must be.
It's off the chart.
Is it off the chart?
And when they did give me glasses eventually, they were like the bottom of a Coke bottle. Coke, that was like 2 and 3 inches thick. It was horrible.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's
by
hard.
the way, can I tell you this, guys?
Yes.
I was really excited today. Not only is my birthday here.
No, it is your birthday.
Yeah, and also 2 years ago today.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh,
Happy
thank you.
birthday to you. I didn't realize it was your birthday.
Oh, thank you. But the biggest thing of all is I got my sight 2 years ago today.
Wow, how wonderful.
Isn't that something?
That's amazing. Your story is amazing.
I would never have asked you to come in on your birthday if I realized that. You didn't tell me.
Glad to be here. Good to see you, Tom.
Yeah.
Hey,
Wonderful
nice
to see you.
Wow.
You look wonderful.
Well, you know what? You're just moving on top of that. If that
Yeah.
weren't enough, you just moved to your house in Kula, a new
That's
house
right.
in Kula.
Yeah, and
right?
it was it's the only place in the island that it's not hot as heck out right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about how we got together for lunch, and Tom was, I've known you, Rock, for a few years now, right?
Yeah.
And you had a little studio, and George came up and recorded one off my last CD up
Yeah.
there. But you're going to probably have another studio up where you're living in Kula,
My little
right?
home studio.
Yeah. But even knowing you all that time, I really didn't realize your background until we sat down with Tom for lunch to talk about you playing at the October 5th event at the McCoy Theater. And then, because someone had said, oh, yeah, he knows a lot of those guys, musicians. Oh, yeah, he hung out with some of those guys. But it was more than that.
Well, I grew up in the East Bay, where a lot of great bands like Tower of Power and Cold Blood came from, and the Pointer Sisters and Sly and the Family Stone, and the Bay, San Francisco Bay Area, and I grew up there. And the East Bay, there was kind of the funk side of and then San Francisco was the rock and roll, the Grateful Dead and the Marin, and so. But since I lived in the East Bay, we used to get Tower of Power to play at our school dances for $500.
Oh, my gosh.
And I remember driving with the band teacher to the liquor store because they wanted a case of Gallo red wine. And I was like, wow, okay, $500 and a case of Gallo for Tower of Power.
And you play not only the best in sax, but you play a variety of woodwinds, and things as well. Did you ever get to play? You didn't get to play with Tower of Power, did you?
Oh, yeah, many times. And I was with a band called Lydia Pence and Cold Blood. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And they were kind of rivalries in a way. And so both the managers hated each other. And so so I never went to really play with Tower of Power. But all those guys in the band are guys that I grew up with, and we're still great friends. And Tom Paulister, the sax player, the lead sax player. Jerry Cortez, the guitar player. All great. Great.
So when did you start playing saxophone?
When I was I must have been about maybe 12 years old. I started.
Was it part of a band?
Yeah,
project?
the school band.
Uh-huh.
And I went to school in San Francisco, and they brought us to an auditorium, and they said, all the kids that are interested in art go on one side, and all the kids that want to play in the band go on another. And I chose the band side.
Isn't that? But we don't even always have that choice. We do have some good bands here on Maui.
They do, and someone was telling me there was the one band, a jazz band. Is it the Haiku Jazz Band or something? These kids they have some trumpet player kid that's amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I heard about
you have
that.
to find him.
Yeah.
But then you also got. Where was your connection with the Motown folks and meeting? How did you get involved with the Michael Jackson band, and how did that all happen?
Well, let's see. I was actually I had already played with the Jacksons. Because I played in all the bands in Oakland, and this was in the '70s. And one of the guys that I played with in Oakland, in the hood, in all the ghetto clubs and stuff there, because it's a predominantly black city, and so that's where all the funk and the blues comes from. So this guitar player that I grew up with Fulton Tashambi also,
really,
the late great Fulton, his name is Greg Crockett, and Greg calls me one day and says, "Rock, I've got the gig for you with Marvin Gaye," and I think I was playing in Honolulu at those days. He goes, "You got to move to L.A. I got you the gig," so I moved to L.A. And no, I didn't know Greg was actually living at the Gordy's house, Barry Gordy, the owner of Motown, and so I went there and met Greg and got to meet Marvin and the Gordy family, and they took me in, and it was really amazing to be there. And
was his house on the West Coast in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, Motown moved to L.A. in 1970, and Barry Gordy has a lot of sisters, so he had a few sisters. There's Anna and there's Gwen, and I became good friends with the whole family. And Anna at one time was married to Marvin Gaye, but they were still. They had a bad divorce, and he had to put an album out about it. But he was married to another lady, but he still went to Anna Gaye's house all the time. And he was suddenly shot by his father. It was really, and I was there when that not there, but when with the family and the Gordys all when it happened, and it was really horrible. And Barry Gordy and Greg Crockett, the producer at Motown, they said, "Well, you can stay on," and they didn't even tell me where to go. They just said, "Show up to this street," and then when I pulled up, I remember seeing the sign Hitsville, USA, and I was like, "Oh boy!" So I ended up playing there. They kept me on as a session guy at Motown I was there for 10 years.
And what you saw in those 10 years? Did you actually get to play with Marvin Gaye while he was obviously...
Yeah, we were practicing, and what's amazing though is the band that Marvin had, they ended up going with Bobby Womack.
Really?
After Marvin had passed away, and so I never really got to go on tour. Playing with. I've been in the studio with Marvin, and we've been rehearsing, getting ready to go. And all those guys in the band, I didn't see them for years later until I got a call to play with Bobby Womack. And it was the same guys, all the same guys from Marvin Gaye's band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so at that time, the Jacksons, Michael, of course, was growing up. Yeah. Then through that, was that how you got to connect with playing in that band?
No, I was with the Jacksons in the late 70s, before Motown or any idea of ever being in L.A. at Motown. And then
in the Bay Area.
Yeah, and then one of the guys at Fulton Tashambi and I grew up with was a guitar player named Greg Crockett, and he's a fabulous, incredible, like Stevie Wonder talent guy. Huh. And he became a producer at Motown and was living at Barry Gordy's mansion in Beverly Hills. And but we grew up, playing little blues clubs and stuff in Oakland, but Greg was with Motown for many years, so that's how he brought me over there, and really, it was really an amazing experience to be in L.A. and be a part of Motown. Now Motown is kind of not really there anymore.
Not really, no. I mean, they're living on the royalties, right?
Yeah.
They're living on the past history, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You probably saw the anniversary, the 50th anniversary the Grammys put out. Did you watch that?
Yeah, and actually I was there at the, what was that, Motown 25. And when Michael came out and did the moonwalk for the first time.
Wow, and it blew everyone away, didn't
Yeah,
it?
it did. It really did. And it was all secret and stuff. Nobody could come around. But I was with the Gordy family when they had showed that.
They're royalty, really.
They really are.
There's music royalty in the Gordy families, definitely.
They're really, Anna and Gwen both are not there anymore. I think Fuller is gone. And Barry Gordy's still alive.
Yeah.
And at the time when I would go to their house, nobody knew that Barry and Diana Ross had a little girl. It was all secret, so we weren't allowed to say
Love Child.
We
Wasn't
weren't
that
allowed.
one
I
of the
can say
Motown
it.
songs? Love Child. Remember that one?
Yeah, exactly. I can say it now. I won't get into trouble because everybody knows now.
Yeah, and it's an amazing part of our musical history,
Yeah.
and there have been some amazing movies put out actually about some of the studio people that have made the huge difference
Yeah.
at Stax, right? And obviously,
right.
and there was the what was the group called in L.A.? The ones that were called
The Wrecking Crew.
the Wrecking Crew,
And
yeah.
then the ones
Yeah.
that I was one of the Funk Brothers, the Motown crew was called the Funk Brothers.
Oh, so you were were you the only white guy in this black
No,
group?
actually,
Okay.
yeah, you're right. Most of the time of my life I was, but no, there was Tom Scott was one
Oh,
of
I
the
love
guys
Tom
that-
Scott.
that was-
Great player.
Yeah,
Great
he
player.
was there, and but I was probably one of the few white guys. Like I played the Apollo Theater, I don't know how many times, and all these, and been on all these soul tours.
Well, it's because it was on tour, because you're on the other coast at that point.
But yeah, when I was with Bobby Womack, we would tour with everybody, and it was like we'd do the Apollo and the Beacon Theater and Radio City Music Hall. And
We were talking earlier about how music is universal. And, you got to prove yourself, of course, but you've got the chops, right? So, I mean, because to be accepted is, and it's a hard thing. And I hate to say it, but there was that era, there was a lot of drugs and stuff involved,
Yeah.
and it was very hard to prove yourself,
Yeah.
and be accepted because there were kind of cliques of people who did this and that, right?
Yeah, I remember my first rehearsal with Bobby Womack, I remember, and it was in Oakland, and there was this big rehearsal building, and they had all these heavy metal bands, and Metallica was down the hallway, and Yesterday and Today or whatever, some band there, and I went and I had this long blonde hair. I have short hair now. I was younger then, And they all looked at me when I came in with my sax and said, "No, you got the wrong room. It's down there where all that heavy metal was coming." I go, "No, this is it." And then they're like, "No, get out of here. Go down to the hallway there."
But it's interesting, and here in this next evolution you've gone into is you're playing here in Hawaii, and do you know? Have you met Keola Beamer yet?
No, I don't think so.
Well, we gotta get them. We gotta get a meeting Keola.
That will happen.
Yeah, because Tom's worked with Keola Beamer, of course, quite a few times, and took Keola to way up to the mountains. 'Cause the
Himalayas.
Legendary guy. And look, I just want to say one more thing, though. People, because I moved here to play with Fulton Tashambi in 2004.
I didn't know that's why you moved here.
Yeah, to play with Fulton, but
Fulton had no money.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sorry.
I came to Hawaii in the 70s, or the late 1980 or something, to play over in Waikiki. So I played in a lot of classic Hawaiian albums.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah. Oh, you're doing studio work on some of that.
Oh, I played on Milani Bellu's a couple of his albums. Roland Casamaro's first album.
I didn't know that.
Mackie Ferry, and let's see who else. I played on a lot of. Cecilio and
really?
Capono. Yeah,
I did not know
I played on
that.
Cecilio's first album. Yeah.
Well, you're going to be playing. We only have 3 minutes left.
Wow.
And it's your birthday. I never would have asked you
We
down.
didn't get to talk to Tom.
No,
Well,
Wait a minute.
I was here a little earlier. So
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
So yeah, we had him in the early part, but you're going to be playing with George Kahumoku and also on your own at the McCoy on
Yes.
October 5th.
Yeah, and Mental Health Kokua and the Hawaii Disability Rights Center is so excited that you're donating your time. They really want to thank
Honored
you.
to be there, and it's part of what I've been through in my life. But
Well, and it is, and you understand. In fact, you've helped other people who have challenges with their vision here on the islands, and I
Yeah.
know you brought them in. But the miracle is that you were able not only to thrive even with the challenges of your vision,
Yeah.
But now you have the miracle of surviving all of that and having your vision, and you're
Yeah.
giving back so beautifully.
Well,
but
very
it's-
thankful for sure.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And you have a strong spirit and a very spiritual commitment as well. And I know you were so appreciative when you were given that second vision. Isn't there a second vision, right?
That's right.
And we didn't even go into, we have about 2 minutes to mention, your amazing work that you do with Paul Hardcastle.
Well, we've had 19 straight #1 Billboard hits on the charts, which is
Wow.
amazing. And we're going to be starting up. I would think it would be Jazz Masters 8, but don't get me wrong. But I'm pretty sure because we're getting ready to plant. In the wintertime, we'll start on Jazz Masters 8.
And you do that halfway across the world. He's in England, and
Yeah.
you're here in Hawaii, and you're doing this all
That's
long distance.
All remotely. And, so I thought, why not come back to Maui and, and Paul Hardcastle, if you guys are out there, get a chance to look him up. It's pretty awesome music.
He's amazing, really
Yeah.
great music.
Yeah.
So we're very thrilled that you're going to be a part of the October 5th gig there with George Kahumoku, and then the showing of One Little Finger happening at the McCoy. And I'm so touched that you came in on your birthday in the middle of the move. I just feel awful that I asked you to even do it. I was
I'm
like,
really
I
glad.
wish
Good
I
to see Tom and you, and I'm really excited about it.
You're just a very, very nice guy, Rock. You really are, and just like you. And I feel very honored to know both of you. I think you'll feel the same way about Rupam when you meet him. He's got that same integrity and 100% commitment that he's given 3 years of his life nonstop. And as we were saying, this isn't for money, believe me. It takes all your time, and you're lucky if you ever make your money back when you're doing a film, But it's because we really believe that by doing what we're doing, we can make a difference. And I believe it does make a difference. If you even touch one person's life with your story, Rock, or with your films, Tom, with any of the music I've done, if you can even have one person go, gosh, that really meant a lot to me. That's why we do it, right?
Well, thanks for opening the door and giving me the opportunity to do it, Cindy and Tom. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's really wonderful that it's something that's a collaboration of this kind of really inspiration and love. So really big mahalos, and you'll be seeing us posting and talking about it here on the air. Aloha.